Hello, reality fans. It's Zach and Dylan here for Recipe for Reality. We have a lot to cover today from our Bachelor finale. We finally finished it up. And our third episode of season 42 Survivor. Zach, how are you doing on this lovely week of reality television?
I'm doing great. I'm dancing around.
Why are you dancing? You happy?
I don't know. I just am. They recently opened up. I just told you what I ate. I had my dessert as an adult.
Yes.
They just recently opened up a crumble cookie around
Of
us.
course they did.
So
of course, when I move out of town, the town next to ours opens
They
a
are-
crumble cookie.
they are always here for you, Dylan. You can come grab them whenever.
To take a 40-minute train ride. But yes, you're right. I mean,
So-
it could be worse. They could be in California. And we're
You
getting
really
a Raising,
could.
we're getting a Raising Cane's in New York
I was-
City, so I'm very
I was
excited.
gonna say we're getting Raising Cane's. Is California just gonna always be our running joke? Like you could have ended up in California.
We could have. Yeah, I mean, that's the dream someday, to be in California. Who knows? Maybe
Oh
I'll be
my
there
God.
someday. We both want to
Maybe
be
you
there
will.
at some point for casting of a specific show. So, we're both destined to go at some point. Casting for multiple things, honestly. Multiple shows, multiple things. LA, we'll get there someday. I've been there once when I was 10, but,
I've
how
never
much do
been
I
there.
remember aside from the landmark sites and stuff? Like, not too much. Like, I couldn't tell you whose houses we drove past except for Dr. Phil. And the fact that he's the most notable celebrity I remember driving past his house. I should probably go back now that I'm a little bit more
That's
cultured.
so-
you know what I mean?
That's so strange. I love that. Like that's the thing you remember. Is
That's
you're
the one
like
house I remember. We saw a bunch of houses, but I think at that age, at 10, I didn't comprehend who all
Right.
these people were. We probably passed like Pacino's house or something. These people that I didn't know.
right. Yeah. People
Um,
who like didn't really click then, who click now.
Right. I remember going to Disneyland. I remember walking down, the stars and seeing all the stars on Hollywood Boulevard. Like I remember certain images, just like not really activities.
Right.
So maybe someday, and maybe, actually, I don't know how to segue this. But I was gonna say maybe the Bachelor will film in LA, which I think it does sometimes.
I think.
and
I don't know where it films.
I don't know.
Yeah. I know nothing.
I was
know
just trying to
nothing.
segue us to The Bachelor because, as you see by the graphic, we predicted one of the final four right. Actually, Zach had got 3 of the final 4 right, and our winner was out of our 4.
I
got
what mattered.
But talk about a maze. I mean, I had blurred out, I almost said Hannah Brown. I had blurred out Susie's picture, before we went on air a few weeks ago, and then she came back, so then I put it back into color, and then I had to blur out the other 2. What a wild finale.
I mean, I'm gonna tell you, I don't even care that I picked the winner per se. I care more that I picked both Bachelorettes, baby.
That's
I
right,
picked
and we'll get
both
to
of
that
the
too.
Bachelorettes.
So
That's what I care more about.
I'm going to try to explain this finale in less than a minute. So,
Good luck.
All 8 hours. So, Mentel all happens. Shanae gets absolutely slandered. Teddy gets a great segment. Thought she might have been in contention for the Bachelorette. Serene gets something. Genevieve gets something, whatever. Clayton gets roasted by all the girls. Next day, he sleeps with Rachel. It goes great. He sleeps with Gabby. It goes great. Susie comes to him and is like, if you slept with other girls and you told them you love them, like, that's a deal breaker. And he's like, well, why didn't you tell me before? And then tries to make it her fault, even though it's pretty much assumed that if she was the front runner, he would put all his investment into her. And even though he's exploring other relationships, saying, I love you to all 3 girls is bad. She wanted to leave, decided to stay and like talk to him about it, but then he sent her home. Then he goes on to the rose ceremony, tells both girls he is falling in love with both of them. He was intimate with both of them. Both are upset. Rachel decides to stay. Gabby decides to leave. Clayton convinces Gabby to stay, only for the next day decides he still loves Susie. He breaks up with both Gabby and Rachel. Gabby doesn't even want to walk out. Rachel gets walked out in a very sad moment. And then he goes to Susie, proposes to her. She says no, and then back at home, they end up dating anyway. That was a minute. So I think I did okay.
I was gonna say it was a bit choppy. You came in and out a little bit there, but
okay.
But
did you get the gist? You got the gist.
I got the gist. And let me say, hats off to you because that's probably better than I could have done in the time allotted.
So
more importantly than anything, the most important part of the recap, we got more of Gabby's grandpa, and that's really all I care about.
Who is a gem, not just on the show, but on TikTok as well. They had the Gabby's grandpa, and I think Rachel and Gabby themselves do like the little face generator thing where it gives you half an animated character's face, and he got Shrek, and he had no idea who Shrek was, and it was just a great moment.
God, I love him so much.
So much.
I would do anything for him, and I really do mean that. Okay, how do I feel about all of this? Well,
it's hard to know where to start and where to end. I think the main talking point is going to be Susie herself, because I think what we saw Susie on the show, we immediately loved her when she stood up for herself. But then by finale night, she was just like carefree, not a care in the world, almost as if nothing had happened at that live action final rose.
Listen,
I know time had passed, but it was weird for her not even to acknowledge anything about Gabby and Rachel. I know off air she has, but it was just an awkward moment to see Gabby and Rachel get so heartbroken, and then a moment later, Susie's actually with them. It's just this great moment, and it's like, ignoring all the rest that happened.
I actually don't even care as much about Susie's reaction. Not like, oh, like Susie should be blameless. Not because I don't even know if I'm not gonna say blameless. Like she signed up to be a reality contestant on a show about falling in love, and she did fall in love with someone, and he did pick her, and she originally said no, and people say no sometimes, and then they change their mind, and like that's how life works.
Right.
What my biggest problem, and if you're a fan of the show that we do here, you know how I feel about these guys over at The Bachelor.
Zach is much more anti-casting for Bachelor.
No.
Oh,
Not anti-casting. I am anti-producer.
Producer.
Anti-producer over at ABC. CBS, you guys crush it. Every time you do things, man, way to go.
And I'm staying vocalless, in my opinion, because I am still single and someday want to find love. And if it ends up being on the show, I don't want to badmouth it. So
listen,
you are married. You have no stakes.
There's a ring on this finger. I got nothing. Right. My problem with the Bachelor producers still stands because, again, do I think that Clayton is blameless in this? Absolutely not.
No.
The man. Oh my God, clown and a half, Clayton. Holy crap. But what drives me crazy is that, again, and a lot of people pointed this out, it's very similar to what happened with Matt James. Not the overall season, but his performance. When you put Matt James didn't know really anything about the show, but he had Tyler Cameron to kind of guide him. When you put someone on who's been on the show, but has never made it far enough to know the weight of what it means to get to the end.
Hometowns, fantasy suites.
And you know, like, again, does that mean that Katie never made it to Hometowns? But then again, people were like, Katie's not a good lead.
Well,
but
she
now,
had a pretty shit show of a finale herself, you know?
Right.
Michael and Greg both left, and they were her front.
And that's the thing is that, like, what drives me crazy about the show and why I'm so anti-producer right now on The Bachelor is because they know what they're doing. They have all the tools, and maybe it just drives me crazy because, you know, there isn't a single, I don't even dislike Clayton. I think he's a clown, but I don't hate him. I don't like the way that he handles things, but again, I don't hate him.
He wasn't ever evil intent, right? You know, like it was never malicious.
Aside from Shanae, there wasn't a bad person overall on the season, which is more than we can say for a lot of seasons recently, where we've had some like pretty bad people just as like they're not there.
Matt James's women,
right?
They're not high, you know.
They're not there. They're not there for the right reasons. But like for real, like we had every person this season, my Shanae, and then like some early on like easy boots, Cassidy, I think her name. Like again, people who aren't relevant. Like everyone was a good person. So what's so annoying is that it's not them. You gotta know deep down that it's not them. It is 1000% the producers. The producers are going, I have to do a bit more research before I say for 100% certain. But like I'm almost positive that I've seen episodes or like behind the scene things where people from these shows have said like they are assigned a producer. They are assigned a person. And when they are assigned a person, you know that Clayton's got like 3 people on him at all times, plus Jesse what's-his-face.
Jesse Palmer, yeah.
I almost just said Jesse Tyler Ferguson, different place.
That'd be an interesting show.
What a crazy Bachelor season that would be.
That'd be fun.
Maybe
but for the gay Bachelor season, we'll have Jesse Tyler Ferguson.
Yeah. But like there are people telling him that the decisions he is making are correct. There are people telling him to not divulge everything that he's trying to say. And to me, that's like this, you know, I don't want to say like, oh, this poor man, but like Do I think he deserves the backlash? For sure. Do I think he deserves to have his name dragged through the mud? No, because
No.
I don't think when you sign, no one really knows until they sign that contract what's on it. And I can tell you, again, I can't say what it was, but like I can tell you that I've signed a contract like for some sort of reality television thing before that I never ended up on, but like they want everything.
Yeah.
They want everything of yours. And because of that, you know, when you sign that contract, you're signing away pretty much all of your rights.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
they know that.
Mhm.
So they are taking your life in their hands, and for the
Mhm.
sake of their show to make their ratings better,
Yeah.
they're going to take it and create the drama.
Yeah,
And
and
that to me is the frustration.
I think in past seasons, like you said, there have been so many unlikable, competitors. I don't like to make it a game, but like of the sea of people, like say it's a
Right.
Bachelor season, all the girls, there's enough villains that like it's always like your lead is your hero, the
Right.
protagonist. But this season, I think because all the girls were so likable, except for Shanae, once Shanae left, the next big villain, it wasn't really Sarah, it was Clayton. And I
No,
think
and
they kind of
they were turning Clayton into
yeah.
the villain while
And
Shanae was
honestly,
there.
I don't mind that only because like I'd rather them not try to make a false narrative around someone. Like I think they tried with
Right.
Sarah and they couldn't really get it. And like, yeah, Sarah was a pseudo villain and Mara was a pseudo villain this season, but like they weren't big enough villains like the Queen or like Shanae. But I think
Right.
we haven't seen since Juan Pablo's season the Bachelor himself become a villain. Even with Peter's season, it was very much more like just an unfortunate series of
Yeah, you were like, what
events
an idiot. What an
and you
idiot
just
you
felt
are.
bad for the whole situation. But here it was like actually avidly trying to make him out to be the villain
Right.
because he did do stuff that was wrong. And
For
honestly, I think
sure.
that's an interesting approach because they could have gone the boring approach. And I think trying to make him look too good. I think in the Susie argument, they tried a little too hard to make him look good, and it didn't reflect well on him. But then once he approached Rachel and Gabby, then they started really
Oh my
honing in on
God.
it. It's kind of like last season on Survivor where they had the whole season edited, but earlier
Right.
on, Shan was like this rootable villain, whereas later on, they tried to make her just a little bit more annoying and annoying. That way, when she did
Right.
go home, there was almost a bit of satisfaction there. I like how they kind of changed the script here because at the end
Right.
of Peter's season, if they go full-fledged villain, I think it's a much more interesting ending.
Right.
Same as like, even Katie with Greg and stuff, like there's a way they could have painted her as a villain. I'm glad they didn't, but like
Right.
it's just an interesting change of pace, which I actually kind of appreciate just from a viewer's perspective because I was leaning in to see what would happen next because at
Right.
that point I cared much more about what happened to the three girls than I did with Clayton. If he ended up alone, I was actually kind of excited for it because it was like
Right.
learn
And
from your mistakes type
that
thing,
is
and I
that's
kind of
the
like that.
beauty of
Yeah.
this.
Mhm.
That's the beauty of this is that like there was finally a thing to root for after like rooting basically for Shanae to go home.
Yeah.
You were finally able to choose like, am I going to root for someone to win or am I going to root for him to end up alone? And I know a lot of people rooted for him to end up alone,
Mhm.
myself included. But like, if again, Bachelor is one of these shows that again, maybe it's just because I'm not as big of a fan overall of it, and I got into it super late.
Yeah, you're new still relatively.
I always like The Bachelorette more than The Bachelor 2, truthfully, just because like
Mhm.
I feel like the leads do a much better job on The Bachelorette and handling their
And that's not
contestants.
and it's not to come across sexist, but the women just in general seem to have a better
Right,
idea of how to manage and contain themselves throughout the process and
right.
not kind of let themselves go wild. Like, because Clayton let himself go wild at the end. He
And
literally slept with all these girls. And obviously, like Caitlin Bristow has said, like, it's part of the process. You want to explore
right,
people. And that's, I think there could have been a way that Susie stays, even if he sleeps with all the girls. The problem is the I love yous. And the problem is like actually
right.
emotionally committing. And then immediately when Susie left, rescinding those I love yous from Gabby and Rachel because that makes them feel like crap. That
And
makes you
saying
kind of feel
things
like
like
crap. Like,
the
oh
person who
wait,
I
I
give this rose to is who I love the most. Like,
right,
you know, like
and because
very
they're gonna watch it back.
remedial.
Yeah.
Right. And very remedial, like,
Mhm.
like child, like that's childish.
Mhm. And then the
But
next day
like,
for him to be like, oh, I realize I can't be in love with more than one person, and it's like, okay, so like you literally
right,
the way it comes across then is that you said I love you, slept with them, and then
right.
the next day you said, oh wait, I can't be in love with all these girls, meaning what Rachel said was kind of valid. It was a
When she
question.
was
It might
like,
not be true, but
did you
did you do it
only
just to sleep with me? Yeah. And honestly, that's how it comes across. And honestly, I think that there's some truth in that. I really do think that could have been a
Oh
ploy, and
yeah.
it's a dirty ploy if that's the case. And I feel bad, but also, I mean, he's a boneheaded jock, and he's kind of been that way from the beginning. Even last season, when they announced him as a Bachelor, there were tweets just criticizing his casting, and I think that was just kind of the producer's goal this whole season was, well, if it's not going to work out, let's just make a joke out of it, which I think honestly really helps Rachel and Gabby look really good going into the next season. And it does make him look bad. So when Susie comes out at the end, it's like, but I'm not really rooting for them to be together because he treated her so badly. Because, yeah, sure, he treated Rachel and Gabby, I'd say, worse in the end because he did tell them he loved them and slept with them and broke up with them.
Right.
But, like, he treated them all badly. And it just kind of was, like, shocking that they didn't give any inkling that Susie and Clayton would be okay outside. And I get it. Like, time had passed. But maybe give us a few clips of them, like, literally in their own lives separate to kind of build up to that. Kind of like what they did with Ari when he left the girl he picked for the other girl that he sent home, and did it off air, like just make it more of a story. So that way we have at least a happy ending if they want to sell a happy ending. If they want to sell a sad ending, go with it. But I think they were kind of having their cake and eating it too here.
Right. Sell me the ending, sell me the bad ending, whatever you want to do. But like, again, I just, what drives me crazy is that they've got such, like, even from last season, they had such a great picking of men. Like Rodney, even Joe.
They're all on tour now too. Like, isn't
and
Rodney
they're
on
doing
tour
their thing.
with Katie's men too? Yeah, Justin, Andrew. Yeah,
you can grab Justin. You can grab you had all these people to pick from,
Rick.
And you picked, milk toast with football. Like that's you picked that knowing that he probably would lead to some sort of drama like this. And to me, that just. I mean, I gotta say it. That's just lazy. That's lazy at this point. We're in a new era of Bachelor and Bachelorette. Like,
and there's not a problem casting that type of pick because Jesse was that pick, and he's one of the most beloved bachelors of all time. Hence, he's hosting The Bachelor and now Bachelorette, which we'll get to in a sec too. But like, it's one of those things where he's become a franchise staple. Also, Wells, a franchise staple, a different kind of breed of man, but like, not having diversity is not the problem. It's just more of just like. Having an engaging lead in general. You can have a football jock.
I was going to say, it's not
Tyler
diversity.
Cameron's a jock, and he's a totally different personality. Matt James is
diversity.
A jock.
It's not diversity just in race or, just skin color. It's diversity in interest. I don't want another Juan Pablo. I don't want that. Not because I don't enjoy the villain arc. I love seeing a villain get their comeuppance, but like, you gave me a great Bachelorette season with Michelle. Do not then give me bland Clayton, who then I spend an entire season waiting to find out what interests me about him, only to then find out, nothing. And not only am I not interested in him, I hate him because he's a dick to these women. And I think that's lazy casting. That is lazy production. You want to sell, you want Twitter to hashtag and talk about you for days. And the truth is, they got what they wanted. Everyone was talking about it. But do you know what's really frustrating? Is that, in my opinion, and I might not, people might not share this opinion with me. You might not even. I think love sells better. The success of a show will sell better. And, you've got the people who I adore the most right now are Michelle and Nate, because Michelle and Nate are living out their love story, and not a single person is worried about them. They're all just letting them do their thing.
Love sells better if it's a complete arc, though. Like, I feel like in this season, there was a point where we realized this was all going to crash and burn. Right. And in that case, I liked how it went that way. It was really the after the final rose thing where they're like, oh, but he's still happy with Susie. And it was like 10 minutes after he was being told off by Rachel saying, and Gabby both saying,
and left proposed.
I almost wish. See, I don't know how they could have done it successfully, but I almost wish they waited to announce Susie and Clayton until like a later day on a different show, or just like on their own, kind of like John and Katie. It would be like Katie's season ending, and then her and Blake being like, "Oh, but we broke up, and now she's with John." It's like it just
because again,
feels
no one cares. No one cares about that. Like they're okay with it.
It's like the conclusion ends the season fittingly, but then the epilogue kind of contradicts it. And I know this is not a scripted show, so you can't prepare for that. And Susie, they couldn't prepare for Susie and Clayton being together. But I almost wish they hadn't shown that proposal thing. If they were going to really amp up the drama, because it was like, I don't know. I really don't know what would have been successful, because I honestly am glad they are together and found love, because everyone deserves to find it.
Everyone deserves their shot at love.
But it's almost like they did such a good job showing the downfall of these relationships, only for her to take him back, in our opinions, watching the show so suddenly when obviously time had passed, but then kind of show that time had passed. If anything, show the turn down of the proposal on Monday night, and then Tuesday show him going back home and being like, I'm so distraught, I ruined my chances with all these women. Then do your interview with Gabby, then do your interview with Rachel, then do an interview with Susie, and then show a clip of them finally get rekindling in real life to like then kind of make it feel more progressive, where it was not just like, oh, they broke up, he went home alone, or did he comes back from commercial break, everything's all happy, peaches and roses.
I think that's exactly it though, Dylan. You are correct. Getting it out on Monday. If you're gonna do this big 2-night finale, getting it. Susie's already left, but prior to the finale, so you don't have to really like play around with like us figuring out like, oh, like how's he gonna navigate this? You bring her back. You don't spend nearly as much time, and I think honestly, if I had to take a big old guess, they probably spent the amount of time that they did on it so they could really hype up Rachel and Gabby to be the Bachelorettes. But if I'm honest, I was already ready for that. And I don't know who I would have wanted more. But the good thing is we got both, which I think is a good segue. Because really, like at the end of the day, this was their show. Yeah. Gabby had so many incredible moments of just absolute, like, groundbreaking, like, independence that, like, this show really was craving. And then even Rachel, who like we watched like fall to pieces, is so in love with this guy. Yeah. Then to come back in person and be like, I'm done with you. But also like, by the way, did you only say I love you to sleep with me? And it was like, you're just like, this is, if there's anything good to come out of the show, this is really it. Because you're like, oh, I got two women who I am going to root the shit for. And also, they got to prove why, like, whereas Clayton got no point to prove why he's the lead, everyone was like, how are you going to pick between the two? And the network said, we can't, so we didn't.
Yeah.
Here's them both.
But yeah, overall, the season, not a bad season because it was very entertaining. The Shanae stuff did get old fast, but like the early stuff, if we forget, the first episode, the one girl leaving and walking out on him, you also had the one girl quitting before the beginning because she wasn't over her ex. Then you had the whole Cassidy thing. Like that whole beginning was great. I think the middle toward when Shanae had went home and then like the Sarah stuff was starting was a little weaker, but then like I think this was a strong finish because I was leaning in to see what would happen.
Forgot about Sarah.
It was a very exciting ending only because I was like, what's going to happen? The ending was actually a little bit more predictable than I thought. I thought it would be really out of left field. I thought when Men Tell All, when what was her name, Kira was like, if you are single, watching back the show, I realized how much more attractive you are than I even knew. And she's like, if you're single, give me a call. I thought that was going to be like the tease. Honestly, if a different girl walks out than Susie, I think it's a more interesting
even
season.
better. It's even better. It's a great ending at that.
But I knew as soon as they didn't have an interview with Susie, I was like, yeah, it's got to be her. And just because, why would it be anyone else? But yeah, I mean, overall, I think it was an okay season, an exciting series of events at the end, exciting from a viewer perspective. And I think we did get ultimately a fitting conclusion, but an iffy epilogue. And it is what it is. And now we got to transition to speak about the Bachelorettes. I'm very excited it's both of them, but the question being, and I don't even know if the producers know this yet because they start filming soon, are all the guys going to be dating them both, or is it going to be Gabby's guys in one side, Rachel's guys in the other? Because if it's all the girls dating both, I think we're in for a tough season because there's got to be at least one or two guys that both of them are going to have their eyes on. What do you think?
I think that's the plan, is that it's...
And they want that. They want them to both fall in love with the same person. And in that case, it's frustrating, but also I'm very intrigued.
I will say, and here's what I'm hoping for, right? Because, again, they've done such a good job to set us up for these, like, two very strong and independent women who know what it's like to get your heart broken. Mm-hmm. If anything, I'm actually very excited. And I'm also interested because, like, it's kind of like the Tayshia and Caitlyn of it all, where, like, I love getting to see Bachelorettes be friends. Like, that's also why, if I'm honest, I'm sad that it's Jessie and not Caitlyn and Tayshia, or just Caitlyn and somebody else.
I teased that earlier, and I think, honestly, part of that has to do with Tayshia kind of wanting to take a break from Bachelor Nation.
Right.
And I think Caitlyn now has other avenues to explore. She just did the Dancing with the Stars tour, and I think they could always bring her back, but I think
Right.
Jesse is
I
more
hope
of
that they
your,
do.
like, long-term plan, because Caitlyn has the potential to go and even host other
Right.
shows or be a bigger person. Like, I think Caitlyn's career is starting to take off, whereas Jesse's kind of past that, and he's just like, yeah, I can host. Like, I think it's
Right.
just more to have a more resident host, and just, filming
Right.
wise, it's probably easier on his schedule. But yeah, it sucks that we're not getting Caitlyn and Tayshia.
Yeah. I think that Gabby and Rachel are going to give us good drama, because again, if it's them falling in love with the same person, the one good thing I think is that, and I really hope I'm not wrong, because like I want some good drama, but what I don't want is, I really don't want them to turn against each other, because I think that like they did such a good job this season of showing us like how important it is that they had each other, because if they didn't have each other, you don't know what happens. You don't know how they react to all of this like terrible news. So like I'm really hoping that they don't try and screw that up for them, because it's not, again, you're going to lose a fan in me. I actually like I was again, it's like the Shanae thing. Enough. I get it. She's a bad person.
And if anything, I hope it happens early, where it's like, oh, I kind of like him. Well, I like him too. And then there's a frustration, there's an awkwardness, and then they're like, listen, let's sit down and talk about it. But then it becomes a little bit more artificial, where it's like, okay, you'll take these guys, I'll take these guys. I think it just has to develop naturally. But I think these two are going to have do a good job talking about it and expressing their feelings. Whereas I think they can make that work. Or we might even see, and this is my bold prediction, we might see a Claire and Dale situation where if one of them finds love right away,
they leave quick.
I could see one of them just like clicking with someone really fast and leaving and being like, I think I'm just going to roll with this. And then the rest of the guys stay for the other. Because I really do think it's going to be tough as the weeks get down. Because like when you get to like fantasy suites, what if there's still a guy that both of them like? Like that's just going to get so awkward. And unless my mom was like, what if the big twist is that Rachel and Gabby fall in love with each other? And I said, honestly, that'd be cool.
Honestly, give it to me.
Like, honestly, anything that can surprise us without making their friendship tarnished. Because, obviously, this is obviously ABC's dream of having a love triangle. But their worst nightmare would be if day one they say, okay, those will be your 15, these are my 15. And then ABC is like, crap. So I think they're going to try their best to get at least one little love triangle in there. But
we'll and they've done the dual Bachelor and Bachelorette thing before, but it's not been like this. It's been like the guys or the girls pick who they want.
Yeah,
and then that person stays. But I don't think that's this.
Britt and Caitlyn, and that was when the guys could vote for a Bachelorette, and whoever got the most votes stayed. And it was Caitlyn, and then the guys who voted for Britt I think her name was Britt, got to go and like either leave and try to just like pursue their own love story, maybe with Britt or just on their own, or they could stay with Caitlyn. But I think some guys were like, yeah, I'm just going to go and leave because I wasn't really into Caitlyn. And then some guys were like, I'll stay and try out the Caitlyn thing. And Britt was just sent home night one. And then
I don't think that's going to be this.
Yeah, I think they're in it for the long haul, unless we get a Claire and Dale situation. And in that season, it was all the guys were there for Claire. Claire left, and then all the guys stayed for Tayshia, except for one. It was Jordan. So, or Jason. So I think it'll be an interesting season. I hope the trailers don't show too much, because I think that the one thing about this season is that we saw the I'm So Broken clip so much, and we saw the I've been intimate with all of you so much that by the end, it was almost not as surprising. I hope they save those big moments and keep them out of the trailer, because honestly, I think if they had showed everything and like made the Sarah drama like seemingly the climax, and then this on top of it, I think it would have been even more surprising. But I'm not an editor, so I don't know. I mean, I am, but not for them. Should we transition to Survivor now?
Let's do it.
All right.
Let's do it.
Episode 2 has come and gone. Zach and I did much better on our predictions this week. Well, I did fine the first week, but Zach did much better this week.
I have so much ground to make up,
so much ground to make up, but it's only it's. I mean, you can make up the ground if all it takes is one big swing.
I know.
And there's a lot more weeks to play. But Mariah went home. Zach had her in 12th. I had her in 10th. So Zach gained 2 points on me this week. So I had 39. Zach has 15. So he's closing the gap smaller. Not marginally so, but we'll see. Very exciting episode. Better episode 2 than last year's episode 2, which was just overflowing with the advantages. And I like how they didn't have a ship wheel island summit thing this week, because I just think that would have taken up so much time. We got some real character moments. We got stuff with Hai and his veganism. We got stuff with Omar and his
which is crazy.
Muslim. Yeah, his
Muslim.
Oh yeah,
crazy.
We got stuff with Mike and the idol, which was an advantage thing, but it was also funny because he lost it, and then Daniel had to help him find it. We got a great bond with Jonathan and Omar. We got some great talk about religion with Omar.
Bringing Lindsay in, yeah.
Lindsay chiming in with the "I'm a bad Jew." We got great Marianne moments talking about Zach. A lot of fun character moments though, and Mariah, of course, sharing her story about her brother, which we knew would happen. And as soon as she started talking about it, I went, "Oh, she might be going home this week." But then I was like,
I was gonna say it's either her winner edit. It's either her winner edit or see you never. Like
I was like, Orange is not going anywhere. And then of course Orange loses because of all people, they have Jonathan do the puzzle, which I get. Him as the caller made sense, but it's like if you know that person has to do the puzzle, why would you have Jonathan do it? Like of all people. So it was a very up and down episode, but I like that because I was going into this thinking Blue was going to lose because they had talked about getting rid of Drea, and then Swati and Tori teamed up, and Roxroy, Romeo, and Drea had their thing. But I was very pleasantly surprised that Orange went to Tribal, and that I think the least, as much as I liked her, the least interesting Orange person went home.
Yeah, we knew, and pretty much everyone, someone who we had seen all she had to offer.
Mm-hmm. And still got a good story out of her too. Like I think
we had seen everything she had to offer, and then we got her story, and then we were good.
Yeah. So let's I mean, just share your thoughts on this episode. Like, what do you think of it? I know I just covered the bullet points.
No, I mean, I think I think you've covered everything. I think what's interesting, and I was listening to Evie talk to Rob has a podcast about this. Yes. The camaraderie between this season and last season is really awesome because it's a lot of people who are playing the game right off the bat, and that was one of our preseason things where you're always worried when people are going to come in and not really want to play the game. You know, they're on an island and they're like, I'm on TV and that's really enough for me. Mm-hmm. Which a lot of people do. I mean, you see it on a lot of these shows. They're on TV and that's enough for them. But they're all really like looking to play. And the one thing that we are excited about, and I'm excited that I was right, there's no Luvu. Because now everybody has lost a Tribal member.
Well, not Green. Green is not lost, but Green.
Oh, sorry. I forgot about
the Green has also been trailing in challenges. Like the Green, was losing, and then Lydia made him come back. But even then, I mean, we're still. I don't think Green is a dominant tribe the way Luvu was.
There's no like this person's definitely not going to Tribal every week, right? Mm-hmm. It's not like okay, well, Green I guess is just never going to go to Tribal. It's very like you're engaged because you need to know. First of all, I don't have a single person that I don't like. Last year, I kind of had I wasn't a big fan of Xander right out the gate. Then that luckily changed. Same thing with Ricard. I did not like Xander. I was like, this dude's bad. And then I was like, Xander's going to win. Wrong. But I like that they are doing a really good job at keeping us guessing past each challenge and before they even come up, because my rankings changed 5 times before I finally settled. And even the ranking that I have right now, a lot of it is kind of based off of last week, but there's still some of it that I don't really know. I could really be taking a shot in the dark.
The person who I had second to the bottom last week is second to the top this week. That's how much this game changes. And I'll explain it soon.
Yes. No, I remember who it was. Yes. Yeah. Okay.
Because, and I think going forward down this game, we both put Mariah pretty high still because we were like, that Orange tribe is not going to lose. But now I think we have to start putting one of each at the bottom because there's a probability that anyone could lose.
Right.
And I do think Green is now just statistically the strongest one. But even then, Green could still lose because all it takes is Lydia to screw up that puzzle and they lose because they were losing going into that puzzle.
Right.
Orange had the lead. I actually do have, my 13 is Orange, my 14 is Green, my 15 is Blue, just because I want to have.
Yeah, that's me too. That's me too. I think that's me. I honestly colorblind, you know.
Oh, sorry. So should we jump into the rankings and then we can kind of discuss our strategy even more? Who do you have at the top? Tippity top, of course, on our show, 1 is the safest. 15 will be the most unsafe, but this game is so unpredictable that our 1 could very well go home. But who is your number 1 safest this week going into the week?
So up at number 1, kind of remaining where she was, is Drea for me.
Okay. Cool.
And again, I know that her name's been thrown around. I know that they're like, what? But again, it's so early, and with an advantage, you still have like they really truly could all decide to turn against her. But I think that with her advantage, with that 2 vote, she could still be the deciding difference, right? If they,
Yeah.
either if she shots in the dark or things like and like success and succeeds, which who knows at this point, you know what I mean? Like it's not
Bound to
doing
happen
well
one
for
of
it.
these
It's
times.
really not doing well for anybody. But I think that with an advantage like that, it's really going to be hard to push her out of her comfort zone. It's
Yeah.
going to be hard to kind of get her out of
Hmm.
that leading position in that tribe. And the only way it happens, I think, is if someone really kind of like jukes her out of it. But I don't think anyone's going to be able to do that. I think she's a little too smart for
And
them.
and in this tribe, we see the older person's alliance, which is funny because they're all under the age of 40. But the older person's alliance of Roxroy, Romeo, and Drea is a 3, and then we also saw this little girls' alliance start with Drea, Swati, and Tori, which is a 3. Drea's in
Right.
both those 3. The only thing is that Swati now wants to go after Drea and is telling Tori that Tori can use this against Swati,
Right.
or they can try to get their plan, but they still need another number. And that's
Right.
the thing, is that Swati, if she wants to make this happen, has to get someone else to vote for Drea.
Right.
And even then, if Drea uses her extra vote, Drea really only needs 2 people. So, or one other person, really, because then she can force a tie. So I really think Drea, you're right. She's in a good position. I have her a little lower only because her name was thrown out a lot this episode, that it could very well be foreshadowing for maybe a blindside, only because they've made it such a blatant topic of conversation. But
Right.
I agree with you. It's like with her advantages and stuff, how does she not?
Yeah. How do you
only
not continue? And again,
the only
I
way
think
she wouldn't is if Swati can also get Romeo and Roxroy on board. And I don't think Romeo and Roxroy want to get rid of her.
No, and I think also you'll find out what I think about Swati soon. Continue.
Okay. My number 1 and 2 kind of go hand in hand. My 1 is Chanel. And my my 2 is Daniel, who I teased was second to the bottom. The reason I have them at the top is because last week I had a wrong call. This was all me. I said it was Hai and Lydia on one side, Mike and Jenny on one side, and Daniel and Chanel were in the middle, and it seemed like they were only working together because they had no one else. But in this episode, we really saw that they actually want to work together. Daniel finds out about the idol from Mike, goes to Chanel, and goes a further mile to say, hey, let's use this to our advantage, because if we vote him, we can either vote him out and get the advantage, or we keep him around, but make sure he doesn't say it. So then the other people in the other tribes, which because of the previews, we know who they are. We know Marianne is going to find one of them, and we know that Tori is going to find the other. We know that from the previews. That restricts them from getting their idol and activating it. So then you make sure that they don't have a vote on other tribes. I think it's a brilliant move by Daniel. The only thing is that Daniel is so vocal that it could all come back to bite him. But I think Chanel is honestly in a better spot because Chanel is just getting all this information told from her, and she's just kind of letting it sit. And I think Chanel had a great confessional also about being the provider at camp. There was like that whole scene where she was like, I got to kill the crab because I'm the provider. I just think they're showing glimpses of Chanel when she's not really making any of the forward strategic moves, but they keep showing glimpses of it. Like last week, she was the one who commented on the tribe dynamic. Right. This week, we saw that she wants to be the leader. Like, she's getting a lot of good content for someone who's really not a big factor in this game, which makes me think she's really in the long run. If I had to put money on a winner, I'd say it's between her and one other person who I have lower, but like I think could be the winner. But like Chanel is really impressing me. And I think her having Daniel coming to him and Daniel himself being able to like control Mike, I think the two of them are set to run that tribe. I think if that tribal goes to tribal council, it's Jenny and Mike on one side, Hai and Lydia on the other, and Chanel and Daniel are not the outsiders. They are the swing at this point. And I think they are definitely in control on that tribe. And that tribe hasn't lost. So I think that tribe has the most likelihood of winning. Right. So I think that's even better for those two, is that they probably won't even go to tribal. But if they do, they're the ones who are calling the shots, which I love. I love them both. Right. I love that pairing.
So they're my 3 and 4 respectively. Daniel at 3, Chanel at 4.
Who do you have at 2?
So I just wanted to put that out there so that you can do your 3, 4. My 2 is Marianne. And again, I know her name got thrown out. Listen, man, I got to really, here's the thing, is that I really kind of have to make up some ground. And I know that you probably had her lower. So the shot I need is I need to put certain people lower and keep certain people
That's
higher.
fine.
And even if it might bite me back, if it bites me back and I lose, I'm losing big. Losing
I
big.
will tell you she's in my bottom 3 only because I think the other 3 on her
Right.
tribe are just so tight that like this week it was either her or Mariah.
Right.
But please tell me your reasoning
but
because
I
she is a big character.
again, I think that she's too big of a character in this early of the game. Excuse me, to really get rid of. And I think that they've utilized her a lot. Again, she's got that vote. She's got something to her advantage. And they're clearly showing her they are utilizing her in almost, I mean, she was a big player first episode. She's a big player this episode. They are previewing her as a big player next episode. Like she seems like she's someone overall who's looking to stick around in the editor's world.
Yeah.
And whether that's for better or for worse, I don't know yet. And I think that the other thing about her is that if you can survive a tribal, all it takes, man, is one slip up from Jonathan, who is my bottom 3, which I know is bad. I know, man.
I thought you were going to put someone else there in replace because I think I'll just tell you right now, Jonathan's my 3. He's the safest person on the orange, I think. But we'll get there.
The reason why I have Jonathan where he is because I think that if Jonathan messes up, Omar and Lindsay are smart enough to know that if they mess up, you can always take Marianne out later, but it's going to be a lot harder to get rid of Jonathan later on. And I think that if they know that and they're like, listen, at the end of the game, it's got to be like, if it's us against another tribe, we'll at least be able to have the votes that we need. So we got to get rid of Jonathan now. And I think that's my only reasoning. Again, I'm really like pulling strings here and like almost out of thin air, but I'm trying to think of reasoning that I can use.
I'll tell you right now, I think although they did lose this week, I really think after cutting Mariah, the 4 of them are so good in challenges that this was the one challenge that they could have lost because Jonathan was the only one who could see the puzzle. In the future, if there's a puzzle, Omar will be fine. And if there's a strength thing, Jonathan will be fine. And that's where I don't think any of the 4 of them are going home, honestly. Marianne, like I said, she's in my bottom 3 only because
she just has to be there.
I wanted one of each on the bottom 3.
Right.
She is my 13 though because I think the likelihood of Orange winning now is even stronger because I think they really emphasized this week the tribe strength aspect. So I think all 4 of them are fine. I really do. I think if they lose though, I think the people calling the shots are Jonathan and Omar, and that's why I have them at 3 and 4. I have actually, it's funny, I have Lindsay at 5. I have 3, 4, 5, Jonathan, Omar, Lindsay because I really think we saw Jonathan, who we thought would be this boneheaded, meat-headed jock, ends up being the one who has an alliance with Omar, an alliance with Lindsay, and an alliance with Marianne. And I think he's kind of the one
he's a lot smarter.
And even though he's the one who blew the challenge for them, you can't really blame him because he's the only one who could see it. And honestly, he wasn't incompetent at the puzzle. He just was slower than the others because he's not a puzzle guy. But I think he did the best they could do. And even Omar was like, it's not you. Don't worry because like we need you in strength. And I really think if they lose, which I don't think they will, I think Marianne's the obvious one out of the 4 of them. Because, I mean, Lindsay, I could see Marianne maybe swaying Omar and they use the extra vote to get rid of Lindsay to bring Jonathan closer. But I really don't see that happening. I really think all 3 of them, Jonathan, Omar, and Lindsay, should be tight, and if the 4 of them can make the merge together, I think the 4 of them are going to be really strong. They almost remind me of that Evie, Xander, Tiffany,
right. Well, and that's
like,
I will tell you though,
run
that
the
for me is why Marianne actually sticks out still as someone who's going to stick around because she, for me, fulfills the role that kind of like Tiffany fulfilled, where they were like, are we going to make the move against Tiff? Are we going to make the move against Tiff? And they never ended up making a move against her because they were like, we need to get rid of someone else first. And the other thing is, Marianne, I think Jonathan is smart, but I think other people can outsmart him. And it's kind of like what you just said, where he's made an alliance with everybody. If they all find out, who am I getting rid of?
But I think
I'm going to get rid of the person who I can't trust.
Know though, like they even were saying a tribal, they were like, we are a big happy family. I don't even think they're thinking of it in an alliance format. I think they're literally just thinking like we're all just so very close, and that's why I think they will be fine in challenges because now without Mariah, you're getting rid of the weakest person, and now the 4 of you, all you have to do is make sure that Omar's on his game for the puzzle and Jonathan can do the heavy lifting in the challenge. And Lindsay's fast. She's the fastest one in that first challenge where they ran into the jungle. So, like, Marianne is the weakest person on this tribe now, and even she's strong. We saw her with that machete. Here's Marianne. And
she's so funny. I love her
think
so
the four of them. Yeah, I love them all, and I think that's honestly another thing too. Is we got so much from them as a tribe, not just in terms of strategy, but in terms of character. We saw Jonathan was pretty funny. Lindsay's hilarious. Omar's very funny. Marianne's hilarious. We like them all so much that I feel like these four are going to be safe the rest of the pre-merge, and they're going to be big characters in the merge. Do they all end up winning? Do they turn on each other? I don't know, but I really think this four could stick together to the end, as long as I think Marianne is still the wild card where she could flip on them. But, I see her more as the Lydia figure where, like, once they get to the merge, like Jonathan, Omar, and Lindsay are your Xander, Evie, and Tiffany, and Marianne kind of flips on them. But right now, I don't think they're going to tribal. So I'm fine with you putting Marianne that high because I really don't see Orange going. I said it last week, though, too, and I was wrong, so I don't know. But that's my 3, 4, and 5 because I really do think if the tribe loses, those three are really, really tight.
This is good, though, because then my 5 and 6 are Lindsay and Omar. And again, it's because I needed someone lower to the bottom for the Orange. And I put Jonathan there really just because I thought that it might be interesting. Yeah. But I think that Lindsay and Omar have so much security. There's no reason that there's. I kind of just agree with you. I don't foresee them losing anytime soon, especially not this week coming up.
Yeah. So you gave your 6. I'll give my 6 because I had Jonathan, Omar, Lindsay for 3, 4, 5. At 6, I have Romeo because I think of that blue tribe. I think he's the safest because if you look at it, the girls are targeting Roxroy, the older people are targeting Tori. But then Swati's the one throwing Drea's name out there, and if Drea finds out, she can throw it on Swati. So I really think the only person that's not going to be in danger is Romeo. Okay. And I think honestly we saw him say, I'm upset. Zach was my skinny bro alliance. I think that's going to help him because I think now he also doesn't have. He's
free agent.
He's a free agent, and he's still working with Drea and Roxroy. But I think he'll also have the possibility to flip and even join like Swati or Tori or help Drea and Roxroy get rid of Swati or Tori. Like, I really think he has the most avenues to navigate. I think losing Zach was probably the best thing for him because now he's kind of sitting pretty in the middle, and I don't see anyone wanting to take him out. He's sitting out of the next challenge, which also means they're not going to blame him for the challenge because we saw the preview. Like, the challenge, things are going to go down. It looks like there's some drowning involved, and Romeo's just on the bench. Like, what is going on? I don't think he's going to be involved with that. Right. I really think he's okay. And the only way he would go home is because of tribe strength, and even then, you could blame it on Roxroy, who was weak in some challenges. I think Tori and Dre are the only ones you really need in challenges strength-wise. I don't think losing Romeo would make you much stronger. I think if anything, it's about morale, and Romeo's fine. But, anything can happen, but I think of the blue tribe, he's the safest.
Right. At 7, I've got High.
That's why I have it 7. Yes. Let's talk about
I love him. I think he's
my other winner prediction next to Chanel in terms of, like, he's just getting really good content when he doesn't really need to be.
I think the only reason he's not higher up is because Chanel and Daniel. Shut the fuck up, Dylan. I think the only reason he's not towards the top of the list is because Daniel and Chanel have each other. Because of that, and they're a little bit stronger and a little bit smarter than they're smarter as a pair than High and Lydia are. Mm-hmm. And I think that's honestly, I don't think he goes home over Lydia. Yeah, and I don't think that he goes home over either of the older women or men in his tribe either. I think he's got enough of a use to them that he's going to be able to navigate along with them, and he sits really well because of that. And he's getting good stuff.
Yeah, I agree. Yes, he's getting great content. The stuff about the vegan thing, it got me in tears because I know how much of a struggle it is to just have a routine and just have to go against your values and really just survive. Because at that point, it's not even like trying to fit in with the tribe. It's literal survival. He's like, if I'm going to be weak
to do this.
And he needs to be strong because he is such a small guy that they could make him out to be like a Zach or even a Romeo in the fact that you're just such a little skinny guy. Let's just get rid of you. But instead he wants to show his worth in challenges. And I really like him. I actually have Lydia at 8. I think the two of them, High and Lydia, I think if Daniel and Chanel pick a side, they will go with High and Lydia. They're younger, they're sprier, and they're a little bit more here in the brain. Yeah. I know Jenny's very smart, but it seems like Mike is kind of being shown to be a little bit clueless when it comes to some stuff. And I think just High and Lydia, if I see Daniel and Chanel picking a side, I think they might want to keep Mike around for the advantage and to keep that under wraps. But I think if going forward, if they actually want to work with a pair, they would work with Hai and Lydia. So I have Hai and Lydia at 70. Lydia had a big come from behind victory, really led that team to victory. She didn't get any confessionals, which means I don't think she's actually going to be as big a storyteller as we thought she would.
Right.
But she was big in the challenge, and I think she deserves to be pretty high on this list. No pun intended. Next to Hai at 8.
I also have Lydia right there at 8, and then following behind her is Jenny. And again, it's just one of those things where I don't know. I know that Mike is the one with the advantage, but again, I think that if it's not played the correct way, he stands the risk of getting booted, and then kind of like what Mike opens up is an opportunity to work with other tribes, because if you get rid of Mike by having him do his thing incorrectly, you stand to be in good standing with other tribes so they can get rid of other people if they need to.
Yeah.
And I think you're right. I think he's being kind of shown to be a little less of a savvy individual. And I think Jenny, just because of that, is going to manage the tribe a little bit better. She's a little more athletic than him, a little bit more reliable overall. And I think she's also smart enough to know that, like, if she's got to cut him, she's got to cut him. And I think that's going to come into play.
And you said, like, you're worried Mike might not play it right, but he can't even play it at all until it's activated. Right. So I really think
that's right. Well, that's what I mean, is that, like, he's gonna, or even more so, like, when I say not play it right, I mean, like, kind of like
say the phrase right. Yeah.
Right. That's like he doesn't activate it the way that it's meant to be activated, and we know that that's a possibility because we were led to believe that it could have been a possibility last season, and therefore it's possible this season because it's literally the same exact thing, just with different phrases.
Yeah. And I'm very interested to see what happens with that advantage, because Mike, if he were a smart player, would be like, heck, I'm just going to say it. It's an idol. But I think he's really trusting, and that's where Daniel and Chanel are going to get him. But I don't think he goes home because of that. Like, I think they would want to keep him around, because if he goes home and say Jenny or Hai or Lydia find it, then they can just activate it, because they're not going to tell Daniel or Chanel. So it really, I think they're going to want to keep Mike around to have it under wraps. So I have Jenny a little lower for that reason. But at 9, I have Drea. I have her way lower than you, only because I think Drea, because her name was thrown around, if by chance Tori does find the idol this episode and is somehow able to activate it, and her and Swati use it to make a move on Drea, I could see that happening. I think that would be something maybe that happens around the merge if Drea goes home. I don't think it'll happen now. And I do think Drea is still in Roxroy and Romeo's good side, and that's the majority of the tribe right there. I really think if they lose, it'll be one of the other 3. I don't think Romeo or Drea are going home, but because Drea's name was thrown out there, I put her in the bottom half of the rankings just for that reason. Who do you have at number 10?
Tori. Or no, sorry, Romeo.
Okay.
My notes are all screwed up. But Romeo, again, free agent Romeo.
Yeah.
Like, again, he's the one who has best standing. His name's never been out there. No one's ever been mad at him.
No.
He lost Zach, and that's going to be a big play for him.
Yeah. And at 10, you kind of mentioned her name. I have Tori, only because I think
she's my 11.
I honestly think, as much as, like, the majority in terms of Romeo, Roxroy, and Drea, they are set on getting rid of her. I really don't think Drea wants to get rid of her. I think Drea would much rather do this women's alliance thing, which is why I think Tori is not going to go with Swati's plan. I think Tori, if anything, would tell Drea that Swati's going after her before she would vote Drea out.
Right.
Because you also got to think Drea and Tori are the muscle on that tribe. It's not Roxroy, it's not Romeo, it's not Swati. So I really think Tori is going to be around a lot longer. And because they did give her a positive episode, I feel like whenever you see someone get a negative episode, if the next episode is not immediately positive, then they're really doomed. But the fact that we got this confessional for Tori where she was getting emotional, saying, you know what, like, I almost envy Zach because he gets to eat a cheeseburger. He gets to be home. He gets to be happy. And I'm out here. I'm really toughing it out, but I want to play this game. I love this game. I'm here making the best of my opportunity. Like, they gave her a more hero moment, which means I really think Tori's in it for a lot longer than we're led to believe. But at the same time, they're throwing her name out. So, like, I can't put her any higher than 10, but I do think she's still safer than the other 2 I haven't mentioned from her tribe, only because I really do think Drea wants her around.
She's the brawn.
And if Swati is able to do her plan and it backfires, it'll backfire on Swati more so than Tori, unless Tori's the one who leads the charge. But at this point, why would Tori lead the charge? She could easily say, Swati wants to make a move on Drea. Let Swati make the move and fail and leave me out of it, and then the target's off of me. So I think knowing that you're on the bottom is the best thing you can have earlier on, because then you can learn to play from the bottom. Right. I think that's why Tiffany was so good after she was in that first vote against Abraham. That's why she led that Voce vote, and like she was cruising until the merge, is because she knew what it was like to be at the bottom at the beginning.
Right.
And she was able to bounce back from that, which is something that like Deshaun and Danny never experienced. So when they were on the bottom, they were scrambling a bit too much.
They had no idea how to handle it.
Yeah, whereas Tori can get the scrambling done with now, and I think honestly, she could cruise once she gets to the merge. Who do you have at 11, Zach? Or sorry, at 12.
At 12, I have that's where Jonathan is for me.
Okay, cool.
So he's actually not in my bottom 3.
But he's your bottom orange person. Yeah.
He is my bottom orange person, and I've already elaborated on that a little bit. Do I think that Jonathan actually is going to go home? Not really. It's more like I needed someone down here.
You're playing the
really
game.
I need to make a big move, man. I gotta make a big move, or else I'm screwed, and it could come back to bite me. But like I said, if I'm gonna lose, I'm gonna lose big.
Yeah. Actually, I didn't do my 11, so I'll just say now. I think it's Mike. I think Mike. I put Mike above Jenny because I think Danny and Chanel, like I said, if they get rid of Mike, there's a chance someone else would find the advantage if it's re-hidden. Whereas I think if they, sorry, my Wi-Fi's cutting out a bit. I will.
You're okay. You're okay.
If Mike is around, Daniel and Chanel can kind of control him, and I really think that's going to be their play. And honestly, who do you get rid of then? I think you get rid of his right hand, who is much smarter than him, which is Jenny. And I know we had her low in our preseason and then high on our premiere, but then now I think she might be lower again, because I think the likelihood of them going after Mike's closest ally to get Mike even closer to them is a possibility. So I have Mike at 11. I have Jenny a little lower. And then my 12 is Roxroy, only because I think of that tribe, I think Roxroy's still the girls' target. Like the older person's alliance target is Tori. Swati and Tori's target is Drea, and the women's target is Roxroy. So I think any of them could go home, but I think Roxroy, we see in the preview, he's going to be a liability in this challenge. He looks like he's almost drowning in the challenge, which could be a foreshadowing that he might be the boot, or he's going to have a heroic comeback moment. I don't know. I don't think he's the person I predict to go home in that tribe, only because I think there's one person who it might be overplaying a little bit. But Roxroy, I still don't know where he fits in this tribe. I don't know who he clicks with, because episode 1 he was close to Swati. Episode 2, apparently he wasn't close to Swati, and he wanted to work with Drea and Romeo. It seems like he's either way, he's at the bottom of the totem pole of whatever alliance he's in.
He's at 13 for me. He's at 13 for me for kind of the same reason, and it's literally because I just don't know what he's doing. And we said preseason, I really just don't know what this man is doing. He's so mysterious, but like he also just like I don't think he really has a plan for the game right now, and I think that's gonna be his big issue, is that once all of the people who like, because again, I have one other person down below him, and it's because I think that they're overplaying. When the people who are overplaying leave, what are you left with? You're left with a dude who's not really playing.
Yeah.
Anything.
He's and if he really is the weaker one in challenges, you know. The closest thing I can compare him to, and I don't know if I've already said this last episode, but is Genie, because I feel like he's someone who can just like kind of just be around there, but like never really ever in on the vote, but also never really the target until it's too late.
Getting lucky that he's on the right side, and then by the time he's not, he's the one who goes.
And if we don't have an UA that keeps losing, that might be good for him, because then he can just kind of cruise through, and then maybe he becomes more of your, you know, like Danny in the merge, where he's just kind of like hiding behind everyone else, and really no one's really targeting him as a first priority. I really don't know where he stands.
What a great secret winner that would be if we're at the end of the season. It's freaking Roxroy, and we're like,
I'd be fine with it. Yeah.
Okay.
Like I said, I like this whole cast. All right, who is your number? Actually, wait, you did your 13, right?
I did 13, and I can tell you right now,
I'll do my 13, because I already kind of said it. It was Marianne, because now I have one of each on the bottom, and if I think Orange loses, I do think she's the odd one out, but she has a shot in the dark. She could use her idol.
So many shot in the darks.
I mean, like, there's so many shot in the darks that could happen. Like, anyone can go home because of the shot in the dark. So really,
Right.
these rankings don't mean anything. But
No.
Marianne really, she's such a good character that makes me think either she is going to be like your pre-merge character who goes out almost like a JD, or she's going to be just here for the long haul, almost like a Nasir or a Xander, just be like a very big figurehead of the season. So
is your 14 Jenny?
She is. Is it yours, Mike?
And my 14 is Mike.
Which means we have the same bottom too. But yeah, I think, like I said earlier with Mike and Jenny, I think Daniel and Chanel might want to keep Mike to have control of him. And in order to do that, they might boot his closest ally. Or they'll work with Mike and Jenny and just get rid of Hai or Lydia. But I really do think Hai and Lydia offer more for the tribe. So I really don't know. I hope it's not Jenny because I really like her, but I do think
I don't think it will be
safe boot.
If it's her, if it's one of the two of them, the reason I think it's Mike is because I actually think kind of in that way that Shan tried to swindle
JD.
What's his face? JD out of his idol.
Yeah.
I think that they're going to try and swindle Mike out of his idol. But the thing is, I think they're going to get it. Like, I think that they're actually going to be able to succeed because Mike right now is not really thinking individually. He's thinking as a hive. And in his mind, he's like, Hai and Lydia are the ones who Chanel and Daniel are against. And I think Daniel or Chanel could easily be like, let me hold on to that idol. They don't know you got it.
Well, hear me out. Do you think in this preview, Mike says he can't find it and he says, I gave it to you. And Daniel goes, what? Do you think he gives it to Daniel and Daniel plays dumb and says, I don't know where it is, and actually just holds on to it? And then he's like, all right, well, let's just get rid of Mike. And now I have this idol. But then the thing is, Daniel loses the vote. Like, I don't know where the implication of losing the vote would come, but at that point, you don't need it because now it's like, let's get rid of Mike.
Because that's the thing is that Hai and Lydia are two, Jenny and Mike are two. All you need is Chanel to decide the vote, and that's the difference. Unless Mike 180s and is able to convince them to get rid of Daniel, but like again. That would be amazing. That would be an amazing prediction that I just made if that comes true. I hope that we find out if that's true tomorrow.
What do you think if Daniel does take it, does that mean Daniel would lose his vote and Mike would get his back? Or do you think Mike now has his vote gone? Or do you think as long as he hasn't activated it yet? Because I think the thing is you lose your vote until it's activated. So I think Mike's vote is gone. Does that mean if Daniel takes it, Daniel's okay? And then if Mike goes, Daniel loses vote. That's the only thing I'm confused about.
I don't know. That's hard because we never saw it. We never really saw that occur. So I guess honestly, I think it's probably the latter. I guess that's not true because we saw JD get the idol activated, but it was wait.
Well, no, he didn't get that. He had an extra vote that Chan.
Oh, that was extra vote. It was extra vote.
It was Brad. Brad who had the idol. Well, Brad had the idol. Lost his vote. They voted him out. It was re-hidden. Jeannie found it. Shan told her not to open it. And then Shan and Ricard opened it on their own. But then that episode, they activated it because Nasir said, go on Astro.
So I guess we will just never know. We will literally never know until it happens.
You know what? This Green Tribe is so strong. There's a chance they don't even go to Tribal.
Right. We'll never know. But let's keep moving and let's get to the end, which we know Swati. Because man, if there's one person in the season I really don't enjoy, it's her because I just am like, you're playing way too hard and you are very young.
I don't think it's even playing too hard. It's the name you throw out is the strongest person on your tribe. I think if she were just like, we got to get rid of Romeo or get rid of Roxroy, then you can sell Drea on it and do the girls thing. But why, if the girls alliance is literally presenting itself to you, why not just stick with the majority when you already kind of have Roxroy too? Because then it's an easy boot with Romeo. The thing is, she, I think, is just wanting to make the move for the sake of making the move. And that's where you say is overplaying it. I don't think she would be overplaying it if the target was more justified.
Right. If you had like the right target, if you were like, let's get rid of Romeo, let's get rid of Roxroy. Like he's so clearly not an asset to us. I think she's overplaying. She's overplaying, and it's always the people who overplay unless they figure it out sooner or later. They're the ones who go. I mean, like it's JD, it's the Shan, it's everyone who overplays.
Unless Swati is the Shan, and for some reason this actually does work, and they are able to get Romeo and blindside Drea while she has her extra vote. That honestly, if that happens, Swati will probably be very high on my list because there's a potential that could happen because Swati. I think she's very savvy. It's just she might be too savvy. It's really going to be a matter of if Tori can get the information around or if Swati tells more people. I really am interested to see what happens there. I think Blue loses, and I've been saying it for 2 weeks now, and they haven't. So, like, I think
Right.
Blue does lose though. Yeah.
The other thing is, it's very hard to tell how this early game goes.
Yeah.
So it's a lot of literally like pulling things out of thin air and hoping, or like throwing a dart at the wall and hoping that it lands just on the board, not even in bullseye. You're literally like closing my eyes, throwing a dart, hope that I got it on the board and not the wall. Like that's kind of what this whole beginning phase is, because there's not really a ton for you to go off of. So we're kind of just like, we're taking shots in the dark. And hoping that they make sense. But like, you know, we could be sitting here tomorrow and being like, oh no, it's Drea. Like Drea just went home and she is number one on my list. And like the truth is, it's literally like, or even worse, like we might be like, Daniel is a mastermind, and then all of a sudden they're like, he's like, Daniel, the tribe has spoken, and we're like, and there you go. And you know what? Good thing about the game is that could happen. That could very well happen.
I'll tell you right now, your best bets in order to beat me are either Romeo or Jonathan going home, because you had Romeo 4 spots.
Oh my god! If Jonathan goes
and
home,
you had Jonathan 9 points lower.
Woo, boy.
But if Marianne or Jenny go home, I will take
the game. I was going to say the game is pretty much over.
Or Drea, because I ever 9, you ever 1. Honestly, I think this cast is very strong, though, that when these boots start coming, they're not going to get easier. Seeing Mariah go was the last, like, okay, whatever, only because we didn't see a lot of her in episode 1. But I think even Zach and Jackson were tough losses. I think anyone from here on out is going to be a tough loss, because we really do know everybody very well. The person who was least edited last episode was Lydia, and she ended up being the reason they won the challenge. So even then, is she that invisible? Not really. It's just she didn't get, and Rockstory didn't get a lot, but he still feels like a presence because that first episode they were all so big on.
And is it a good one? Not really. Like, it's not always necessarily what you need, but we're gonna find out.
But even then, he has a story and has an arc. So like, if he goes home, it's gonna be sad. I do hope Mariah got to bury that necklace on the island after she left on her way out. If not, you know, that's very unfortunate. That's the one thing that sucked to me, was like Jonathan being like, I've got to tell everyone to her face that they are safe. And Omar was like, do you think you're going to play your shot in the dark? And I almost wanted Omar to be like, you should probably bury that thing now. But again, how do you do that without telling them they're going home? So it's one of those things where it's like, you obviously can't tell. It was just a sticky situation, but I hope she did get that good closure, because it was an inspiring story. But that's it. That's our rankings. It's exciting. Swati's going home this week. That's what we're predicting. I mean, it would just be good foreshadowing. I mean, I think for her to just so casually throw out the biggest challenge asset on their tribe, I mean, ballsy. and I like that.
Huge.
Honestly, I'd rather people take big swings and go home because of it than everyone play it safe. And I think
safe
last season was a lot of big swings. It was, you know, getting JD out, getting Brad out right away. You know, then you know, the only boring, predictable boot last season was Jeannie, and it was only because there were 3 of them left. You know,
there was nothing we could do. And again, like, the other thing is, like, you know, it's great. It would be great for something interesting as a player, but like, you know, or it would be great as a viewer to see something interesting, but like, you know, the players are just hoping for the safe option. Like, maybe that was a good move. Maybe she made the right move, but we'll never know, because in our minds, we're like, that's a dumb move. But for her, she's like, this is what I got to do as a player.
So next time you will hear us talking. Now we are officially done with Bachelor, and we only have one show to talk about for a little while.
Oh, yeah.
So nice. These episodes will be no longer than like 35 minutes every week, and I can't wait. No offense to you, Zach, but you know, it's very nice to just get a little leeway.
It's late, and I want to go to bed. It's one of those things.
But we are coming back on a different show to chat, to not chat, but to compete.
Oh, no chatting will be bad.
Someone decided to call out a shot and ask me to go against him in trivia.
This is what happens.
You know that I don't rewatch these movies as regularly as someone who podcasts about Marvel should. So I've got a lot of studying to do.
You make correct. This is what happens when you make questions that make me lose a quiz show. So I will not
make you lose. I mean, I don't know. Anyway, actually, these questions are probably going to be much harder because Kelsey's writing them. So good luck. I was trying to make it easy for y'all, but obviously I failed. But it's fine. We are doing a trivia match on my channel. It'll be on Monday, so very excited. We are going to be doing it on Saturday, but we are presenting it on Monday. So it'll be pretty fun. It'll be interesting to see who remains winless and who gets their first win. AKA, I will probably be 0-1 after that, and Zach will probably be 1-1 after that, because
you say that, but now I have to make sure
now you have the pressure as the top dog
that I come through.
because I am the underdog. But
you are the underdog.
But hey, it's gonna be fun no matter what. Hopefully, Kelsey threw a curveball. No, an underhand ball, a softball, so I can at least get 1 point. If I get 5 points, that's my goal. 5 points in the whole match, I'll be happy.
What did I get the last match? I got like 10 points, Dylan.
Yeah,
like, damn.
But it's because there was a betting round and speed round where you could lose points. In this round, there are no betting and speed rounds, so you don't lose any points.
Oh my God! Thank the Lord.
So, yeah, it'll be the normal 10 questions in the opening, and if you get all 10, you get a bonus 11th, and then the wheel round, and then the final round where you'll get a 2-pointer, a 3-pointer, and a 5-pointer, and that's the match. So, yeah.
That betting and speed round really ruined the game for me.
Yeah. So none of that. But Zach and I will be going up against each other. There's another match before that I got to figure out exactly what that match is going to be. I know one of the competitors, but I don't want to tease it in case things fall through. But after that, some challenges might be thrown out for other things. But check that out if you're into Marvel trivia and want to see that on Marvelous Movie Mondays every Monday. This Monday will be trivia. And then the Monday after that, we're doing a double Morbius and Moon Knight episode 1 review.
Oh God!
So, two Marvel things coming out in the same week.
How do you feel about that? Are you looking forward to Morbius or no?
No.
Yeah, no one is, right?
I've been vocal on my channel that I don't like Jared Leto, so we'll see. Hope you surprise me, buddy. Anyway, Zach, where else can they find you besides the Marvel podcast and this podcast?
You know where? I did just do another podcast that'll be coming out soon with my wonderful wife. On one of our friends, on our friend's show, our friend Erica Muffeto's show. We talked all about love, and we talked about our marriage and our relationship, and it's really gushy and mushy. You can kind of check that out soon. It's not out yet, but it will be soon. Nice. You can find me at the place below, as per usual. And you can also find me in Pompton Lakes, New Jersey, doing Hunchback of Notre Dame starting April 22nd through May 7th. And the Hunchback, and then, I mean...
Let's see it. Do it.
The Hunchback, it's more like this. But again, I have to stand up, and I'm not standing up.
Gotcha.
And then Dylan has some phenomenal news that he can talk about finally. You can find Dylan...
every Sunday off Broadway in Vital Productions at the Actors Temple Theater in the role of the Cowardly Lion in The Wizard of Oz. So very happy about that. It's a very easy schedule. It's once every weekend for a children's theater show, early in the morning for a great group of kids every week. We are doing a few little tours to New Jersey and Pennsylvania. Adults who want to go.
Adults like
Tickets are relatively cheap for New York City theater. They are like $40-ish something dollars, which in New York City is not that bad. I know everywhere else in the world that is a lot.
It's not. My tickets for Hunchback are about $5 less, so don't worry about that.
Yeah, I was gonna say.
Pretty expensive.
Theaters are so expensive nowadays, and it's not even that much higher brow. I mean, I'm wearing fuzzy pajamas and lipstick to make myself look like a lion, but it's okay. I'm having a lot of fun rehearsing it, and by the time the next episode will air, we'll have opened.
It'll have opened.
Very, very fun process. Thank you for
very proud. Very proud. Send Dylan and I good vibes.
You can find both of us also. There's a show premiering on my channel starting next month called Draft Day. And I've already told Zach the first episode is going to be like a Disney animation draft where we'll basically just draft like any fantasy football team thing. And the first episode is going to be like the 5 hosts of the channel. So me, Chad, Matt, Zach, and Kelsey will get on and just draft some Disney stuff. And then every month we'll do a different topic, get new guests on. I wanted to make a panel show for a long time on my channel. And that'll be our panel show.
My first draft pick is going to be huge. I already know who I want to pick.
Well, there will be requirements. Like you need to fill a certain quota. It's like you need a princess, you need a villain, you need a song. You need a princess, you need a villain, you need a song, you need a furry friend / sidekick. Or sidekick, and you need a Disney animation era. So I'll go over what that means, like either the Golden Age or like the Renaissance or the modern era. And no Pixar, no Star Wars, no Marvel. That's the rule.
Pixar.
Well, that'll be
my Mrs. Incredible first draft is gone.
Oh no, that was your first. Well, there's a Pixar draft coming someday too, so you'll be on that one. But don't worry. But yeah, if you want to check us out on that too. Zach's doing a lot on my channel now. I'm trying to expand it and get people on other shows because I'm like, they're very versatile. Anyway, you can find me all the other socials down there. We've talked long enough. Thank you so much. Check out Survivor tomorrow or tonight because it's airing tomorrow. So it's Wednesday morning. Check out Survivor tonight. I will be watching it late because I have rehearsal tomorrow for Wizard of Oz. Very exciting. Zach is also watching it because he has rehearsal for Hunchback. Very exciting. 2 beloved classics, Hunchback and Wizard of Oz. But we will see you next time. Hopefully Swati goes home. If not, We're in for a lot of surprises. See you next time.